Great to see you guys. Episode 116 for April 13th to the 19th, 1917. Great to see you, Tolemykus. Right off the bat, holy smokes, when I saw your quote, I was like, oh my gosh, because that, yet again, another psychic moment, just due to the fact I think it's this week that Lenin, okay, let's get to your quote first. Lenin was sent to Russia by Germans in the same way as one might send a file containing a culture of typhoid or cholera to be poured in water supply of a city. It worked with amazing accuracy. Winston Churchill, which is also nice to see, just due to the fact that he's also been in the news quite a bit. Let's get to the other people so I can say hello, and then we'll get off into Wonderland. Great to see you, Charles Latora, and I'm going to post your little thing here quickly, if you don't mind. Hopefully everybody saw the quote. I know Meandering Mike, you just popped in late. Great to see you as well. Boink, there we go. Maybe a possible subject for the yet again, as far as I'm concerned, another psychic moment you're going to find out in a bit, Charles Latora. Maybe a possible subject for the future. What World War I games are we looking forward to, and what ones will we pass on, discuss? Excellent, because as well as I already said Tolemykus. Who else did I miss? William Arends. Oh my gosh, you're like you're going to be all over the place again. Zoe Dufour, great to see you. All right, here we go. I'm going to pop on the add to stage thing in the jig, and then it's going to do that funky business again. I got to remove this one, then add this one to the stage. There we go. It's getting better. I'm learning. All right. And great to see you as well, Brian R. Smith. My goodness. Sorry. Anyways, here we go. 26 days to can games. I'm going to say this about this live stream. I'm going to start off right off the bat. I'm not going to be apologetic. I'm not asking for, oh, it's okay, Chris, or any of those things. What I'm trying... I'm hoping a good chunk of this live stream is actually going to be later on. We'll try to do the later on bits. Almost like a town hall type of a thing. So it doesn't mean, like, what I'm getting down to is right now I'm taking stock of a lot of things that are going on in my life. And I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. And one thing for sure I've mentioned before is I am not letting go of my Great War exploration, specifically engaging with you guys. That is integral to me, just being me, for goodness sakes. However, I need to also be efficient with my entire life that way. So I'm trying to look how to provide material going forward for the live streams, as well as the channel in general, and being able to do the other things that I would like to do. Like I've been, not doing very much gaming and so on and so forth. And William Arends mentioned it earlier on in one of the things that, in one of the emails that he sent to me, about which started the snowball rolling about potentially where we're going to go forward with some of it. So we're going to talk, hopefully. Anyways, that's the taking stock bit. So we're going to get to it. And I hope to goodness that you guys are going to provide as many suggestions as possible. That's why, Charles Latora, when I saw your thing pop up, I was like, perfect, I'm going to write this down. Well, this is one stream for sure I'm going to be watching later on, and hopefully be able to take some notes and whatnot. So there we go. That's where we're going to go from. Discrepancies in the reporting of what is going on in Palestine. Remember, we mentioned this last week. Corvinus Wargaming also brought it up in the after hours commentary and whatnot. Just due to the fact that there's essentially, from what I know, three battles of Gaza. The first two do not go well for the British, and then the third one does. Right now, we've had just the first two battles of Gaza, as far as I know. I think Corvinus Wargaming mentioned that. Oh, excellent. Oh my gosh, I like it. Love it. Love it, Meandering Mike. That's excellent. Oh my gosh, I'm going to also put in William Arends' monster thing here. I was able to send you an additional email of a translation of the Higher Headquarters report from April 19th, 1917, which would be really nice, because I wonder if they've already gotten width of what's going on with the Neville offensive. We'll talk about that in a minute. I was sent one with pictures of the St. Jabob's Market and a dice tower I bought there. Oh, cool. Oh, that's right. You were there last week, weren't you? And I was like, that place I didn't know about. Anyway, so discrepancies in reporting what's going on in Palestine. I think we've been noticing that. That's why I was kind of like, what's going on here? Boy, oh boy, is the Globe newspaper there ever spinning a yarn, making it look like the British are just doing fantastic down in Palestine, and they're not. Anyways, there we go. I would love to someday find out who is this reliable neutral source that they mentioned in the newspapers that revealed there were U-boats off the coast of Mexico, something like upwards of 20. That's a pretty darn big number. You know, remember, think about it. It was only what? They only had 28, for goodness sakes, at the beginning of the Great War. That's pretty. So I'm just saying, it's, yeah, obviously, yes, they're bumping them up, but they've also been getting sunk left, right, and flipping center. That's the other thing that was so beautiful to see, Tolemykus, when like I was mentioning, Lenin supposedly just arrives in Russia this week. I remember he took off on a train there. The Germans were scuttling him off a couple of weeks ago or something like that. And I was thinking, is this, oh, sorry, there's new comments here. Oh my gosh, there's tons here. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to start posting them left, right, and center. I will in a minute, but I'm going to get too sidetracked. I just did. Does this mean, like, I don't know how Lenin, like, I guess I'm assuming they couldn't just like put Lenin on a first class seat or a ticket, give him a first class ticket and off he goes. I'm sure maybe that's why it took so long to get him into Russia. I don't know. And a combination of, you know, things are just going crazy right now. There, and I'm going to start popping off a few things here. Mud Gluttons Unite. Oh, I like that one, obviously. Meandering Mike, for me, gaming energy comes in cycles. I've been in a bit of a slump too. Okay, cool. But I'm going to be honest with you, Meandering Mike. For me, it's just a time. I'm always like, and you know what? As well, I'm sure it is with you as well. Charles Latora seems to be almost immune to it. I don't know what his secret is. You know, putting videos up on YouTube and whatnot for gaming stuff. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to game for myself, you know, that type of thing. That's why I've mentioned to you many a times, Meandering Mike, like, are you just gaming for yourself? Like, what game are you playing for? You get the idea. I love that. You're getting it there. Charles is having fun with Habsburg Eclipse. Wicked. I saw I think you did 2 videos of it. And I'm glad to hear that you were doing well. I was wondering at first, I was like, oh, maybe not sounding so good when you were mentioning about the font size and whatnot. Meandering Mike says, if at first you don't succeed, you're on a roll, right? We're not even close to option F yet. Jeepers jumping. Zoe Dufour says, makes sense. I feel that with reading and crafting too about getting into a slump. And now we got another Meandering Mike. Germans had a few dozen U-boats at the start of World War. They built over 300. Isn't that incredible? Just amazing. Oh my gosh, here we got another one. William Arends, I'm back. I just had to attend the wife who had a health relapse. Thank you for mentioning that, William Arends. Not that she had a health relapse, for goodness sake. So that's a horrible thing to hear about, and I hope she does better. Is that Harro Bosma is not here today. He sent me an email earlier on, and he may be listening in, but it's visiting hours for his wife right now. She's been fairly ill. For the past week, and she's still in hospital. She's on the mend, but still, I was like, holy cow! Like, it must be pretty scary. I mean, we're not all well. The young, what am I saying? We're all not all 30. Only one of them around here is 30, and it's Zoe Dufour over there, the little lucky devil. Anyways, the Neville offensive started on the 16th of April, and from what I know, General Neville, with all his dash and bravado and whatnot, said that he would call off the offensive in 48 hours. Remember, he was the master of Verdun, the savior of all that stuff. You know, this big concentrated artillery barrage and everything concentrated in a small little front, and away you go. And hey, let's try it big style kind of thing. But we'll let the Germans know about it for ages and ages so they can plan way ahead. But anyways, he said that he would call off the offensive in 48 hours if it did not happen. It's now the 19th of April. Let's find out if it happened. Huh? The plane, just doing a little tattoo thing there for Fantasy Island. Just due to the fact that I'm still trying to figure out the plane from, 2 weeks ago for one of the World War I images of the day. I think I've tracked it down to a Fokker. Is it not a Fokker? It's an albatross. Sorry, goodness gracious me, an albatross. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll have time. Maybe we don't. We'll see. Like I said, I really want to focus on seeing how we're going to go forward with the live streams. One thing in particular, I hope we do go. Why not? We're going to keep on going here. I know, Charles, and send some good stuff towards Harro, Bosma, and his wife as well. Getting sidetracked. Anyways, is that yes? With the William Arends, I'm really excited to see how this is going to go forward. So William Arends made some suggestions, and I'm in 100% total agreement because I really want to see where this is going to go. One of them is to break up the ATAs in a sense. One will be more focused towards trying to be a complementary piece or pieces towards the after hours show. And the second one will be far more in control of William Arends, allowing William Arends to flex his Great War exploratory research muscles, if you want to call it that, and be able to go and find things that he really wants. And I don't know about you guys, but based on just already from what I can see, William Arends selecting article-wise and whatnot, and the amount of insight that is provided in the translator's notes, for me, are just spectacular. So the way I'm looking at it, I can't wait to see William Arends, you unbridled, if that's the case. I can't wait to see what you bring to the table, especially once you start getting your craft more and more worked on and improved. I'm really, really excited. Kilroy was here. Great to see you. Anyways, I don't know when you first started on, so there's going to be later on a kind of a town hall-ish type thing. So there's any suggestions, anything you want to pop on in, go right for it. There we go. No engagement. Like I said, I did so little prep work this week. It wasn't funny. That was partially intentional. Not completely, but it was partially. I just went with it afterwards. All right, here we go with the start of the trivia. And we're not doing too bad considering 12 minutes. All right, and a little nod out for William Arends. I was in the ATA quite a bit recently. Who or what am I? And I'll pop that into the comments as well. Hold your horses. All right. I'll pop that in. And there we go. Boy, there's so many extra little things now with StreamYard. It's driving me up the tree. They're like, oh, share your referral link. I'm just like, leave me alone. I'm not here to advertise for you, for goodness sakes. There we go. You're well done, Meandering Mike. Well done. Like, you're so more intelligent than me for this witty stuff that it takes I'm just like, you're so far above me. It's just like, it takes me a while sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, I hope to God he doesn't really want to try against me on toast. Anyways, here we go with the second clue. I was a lawyer before getting into politics. Gee, my God, did I ever narrow that down? Anyways, let's pop this in for the second clue. I don't know what it is. It's brain chaos. Yes, I like that. Right on, man. So you're more chaotic than I am. Okay, you're chaotic good. We'll go for that. All right, so here there's your second clue. We got another. Charles Latora. No, it isn't, but you're pretty darn close. I have to give you a point. Sorry, hold on. What am I doing? Goodness gracious. I'm forgetting to give people points. Oh, I like that one, Meandering Mike. Well done. You're going to get one point. And was it really? Chaotic goes my. How to make it so good? I mean, that makes sense. Oh, Tolemykus says Nixon. Interesting. You're going to get a point. You are incorrect. And hold your horses. I think I like neutral good. I think that I just like generally good. No, I always wanted evil would have been interesting too, eh? But anyways, thinking about the Dungeon Master's Guide. Gosh almighty, that was a great book. Jumps around a lot. Oh my gosh, David Lloyd George. I like that one. But you are incorrect. Kilroy is here, but you're going to get a point. Hold your horses here. I'm going to put in the next one. I have refused many times to take high-ranking positions in the government, including being prime minister. Who am I? And I'll go to the comments, and I'm going to put the thing in here, and I don't even want to look. Oh my gosh. Excellent. Oh my gosh. Am I ever so happy. Brian R. Smith, you are incorrect. I'm sorry. It's just so unusual to see that happen. But yeah, you're getting a point regardless. Oh man. Oh, great. I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, Brian. No, I do. Honestly, Brian R. Smith, I want you to please put in your whatevers. I'm not trying to whatever. I don't want to be this running thing to like make you not want to put in clues. But as soon as I see your name pop up, I'm like, well, here comes the answer. You're just so good. It's just crazy. Anyway, so we're going to go into the banners here. Another one here. And here's your next clue. Oh, nice one. Tolemykus says, Churchill, you are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. I'm going to give one. Hold on here. I'm going to give a point for that. And Charles Latora gets one for that. I guess technically it could be. You don't know. And here's your next clue. And I'll put it in the banners. Oddly enough, I ended up being prime minister twice. Once just before the war started, and then again in 1916. Who am I? Oh, nice one. KilroyWasHere, says Jan Smuts, but you are incorrect. Well done. Yeah, Brian R. Smith was filling us in actually just a little while ago about because I was trying to figure out why in the world he got taken away from in command of German East Africa when everything was going well. It didn't make sense. It's like, what in the world's going on here? I'm really shocked that no one's got this yet. What in the world is going on? Oops, I may have spoken too early. I did not speak too early. Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful day for me. Brian R. Smith, Mr. Asquith, you are incorrect. I'm sorry if I'm taking glee in this, Brian R. Smith. I really am. I'll try not to, I'll try to be a poker face. You are incorrect. There we go. Banners. And sure, definitely. There we go. Next one. I sure seem to have put all my political eggs in that infamous basket of a spring offensive the following year. Who am I? And I'll put it in the quotes, the comments as well. And hold on. And there we go. Wow, this is amazing how many people are not getting this. Meandering Mike's going to get one for Herbert the Sherbert. Oh, brother. All right. And William Arends is going to get a point, but you are incorrect. For Lloyd George, and KilroyWasHere is going to get another point, but you are also incorrect. For Stanley Baldwin. Oh my gosh, people are just pumping them off here. And KilroyWasHere says Sir Edward Grey. You are also incorrect. Hope to God that I've got real. They're real. Anyways, here. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys haven't got it yet. And here's the last clue. Jeepers jumping. Oh, mind you, we do have three whatevers now. So hold on, I just got to put in the banners, and I'll put in the. Here's the last clue. With the resultant mutinies, my government fell, and also my political career. Who am I? And someone just got it. Congratulations, Tolemykus. You're going to get some extra points. And I'm going to let other people pop on in here for a minute. Charles Latora says, my knowledge of World War I debutantes is extremely limited. Maybe Chamberlain. Remember, it was neat to see him yabbering away there. William Ann says, Clemenceau. Nice one, but you are incorrect. You're going to get a point as well. I automatically said that Tolemykus got it right with Alexander Ribot. And it's neat because if I find the, I'm going to... hold on, I'm going to remove this for a second because I want to show you a picture of him. So at first I was like, wait, so it looks like he does get to stick around for a little while. So yeah, he was, I think, if I looked at the stuff correctly, he ended up, his government lasted one day or something in June in 1914 or something like that. And then he ended up, I can't remember, refused another time during the Great War. And then when I think the government fell maybe a second time or something like that, I can't remember who asked him. to form the government. He said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Then the Neville thingamajig kicked in. Then the French mutinies kicked in, and then see you later. And that was it. So I'm going to show you the, oh, hold on. Nice. Oh, thanks. Kilroy was here. And then Meandering Mike says they made a sci-fi movie about him called I, Rebo. You. What am I supposed to do? Jesus, Murphy. Anyways, yep, there he is. And I'm going to show you a picture of him in a minute here. And it's French Prime Minister leaving his hotel in London, 7th of August, 1917. So it's obviously going to be really, really shortly after he's turfed. And when I saw the picture, I'm like, does look like he's not too happy, does he? He looks like he's got a lot of, well, you haven't seen it yet. I'll show it to you. Stop the screen, present the thing. There we go. He does not look very happy, does he? There you go. Right? This guy right here. Yeah? He looks like, I don't know about you, but he looks like he's got a lot on his plate. Oof, he ain't certainly staring up at the sky, is he? Oh my gosh. Oh, brother. I know Charles Dufour. I thought that was well done, man. That's the problem with him. I forgot his name, but I did translate his speech of. Excuse me, Mr. William Arends. Where do you think I got the? Where do you think I got the trivia question referral from? Huh? Oh my gosh! Stop it! Just stop it! Oh my God! I'm gonna have to. What is that thing there where you guys phone? You can phone the police. To someone's address saying that they've got some kind of weird terrorist thing going on. Not good thoughts, good thoughts. All right, here we go. Let's go back to the whatever things. Make sure I've got there. That's where I got it from, William Arends. When I was reading your thing, and I saw Alexander Ribot. I went, wait a minute. Let's go and grab him. I don't think we've done that before. This deceptive clue, you're in office. It was back to 1940 they took office. Was it? Oh, darn it. Maybe I screwed up then. I screwed up. I'm sorry, Brian R. Smith. So I'll have to give you partial points. Maybe I screwed you up, didn't I? Darn it. I've been held captive by aliens and they are forcing me to sell. Well, they're doing an amazing job. I can tell you that much. Anyways, here we go. Let's get back. We haven't seen it yet. So, okay, thanks, Brian R. Smith, for mentioning that. I'll go take a look to make sure that before I post clues that I'm getting them right. Wouldn't that be a good idea? I think so. Yep, like I said, let's hustle our buns and go to, well, I want to show a couple of things very quickly. News pieces wise, two of them, I'm not sure, William Arends, I wish I had mentioned it last week, but we didn't. Still, Brian R. Smith. What I'm going to, like I said, I like being, like I said before, I'm not an historian, but I want to get things right, and certainly what I do. I want to know what the heck's properly going on. So thank you. That's all I got to say for that. Boink. Hold on here. I want to stop the screen. Then I'm going to present this one. So I wish I had mentioned this to you. Well, the next thing I'm going to show you, William Arends. Hold on here. Is Charles Latora says, as long as I can remember how to get to the kitchen, the bathroom, and back to my room, I don't care what else I forget. Boink. You accept your rules. You play more flipping games and you shake a stick at. Anyways, here we go. Is this? It's the next thing. The next thing I'm going to show you, William Arends. It's from the Central Ontario branch for the Western Front Association. They have. They're going to be doing a screening next Wednesday in Toronto. Some movie on Vimy, I do believe. But anyways, this is going on. This is on Sunday, May 4th, and you can see it's free. It's online. If you guys want, I don't know if you guys can. I'll make it a little tiny bit bigger. I don't want to go berserk. There we go. So there you go. That's free. I missed this completely on Wednesday. It's probably on YouTube now, so it's not the end of the world. I was like, what? And they even sent me an email afterwards going, oh, can you a little survey on how it went? And I was like, oh no, I didn't go. Oh, brother. And then look at this. This is the biggie, eh? On the right-hand side, the call for proposals for irregular warfare in World War One. Do you know what I was thinking would be kind of neat? I'm not really sure if you guys would believe. Hold on here. There we go to that. Is I wonder if the live and let live system there, the trench warfare thingamajig, this book here, remember, which I think is just ironically, remember, I picked that book up as per usual. I didn't read the whole bloody title. I only saw trench warfare, so I assumed it was going to be about just, well, trench warfare, how it was conducted. And no, it's not at all. As we know, it's about the live and let live system, how each side tried to come up with ways of communicating. Don't kill me, don't shoot me, and I'll not do the same to you. Just those amazing things. And then as it progressed, where the higher ups tried to figure out ways of enforcing or getting the other, getting your side to actually kill the other ones. It's amazing stuff like that. But anyways, I was wondering if that could be a potential topic for the irregular warfare, because I don't know, it kind of sounds to me like it would. Would you not agree? Anyways, so let's go on to the World War I narrative logic puzzles, and then we're going to go off to the ATA stuff. The stuff that you, the little bit that you, William Arends mentioned that you thought should have been integrated into the After Hours show. Oh my gosh, I think the After Hours show is a monster this week again. I think I'm starting, I don't know what in the world's happening to me, but I'm just almost getting to the point where I'm just like a free range editorial, just going off on the Wonderland. I will say this, any poor suckers that stick around for the entire thing, I say shush so many times in that thing. I was even driving myself nuts, just trying to get myself to whatever. But anyways, here we go. Oh, maybe I missed. I should put it in there. Mike, what are they asking for your release? Boink. A crate of sci-fi games and a barrel of green cheese. Oh, okay. It's about the aliens. Okay, there we go. Hold on here. Let's go to make sure I've got the World War I narrative. And there we go. Yeah, because I don't think we did this at all. What's weird is you guys. Hold on, I gotta stop hide this thing so you guys can't see this. You know what's weird is the screen for the World War I narrative logic puzzles that you see is a lot bigger than if I had made it maximized on my screen right now. On my screen, it's really small. But I just when I noticed that when I went supersized, it would start. There would be tons of black space. Very interesting to see how they see things. So there you are with that beautiful picture. Thank you again, Tolemykus, and off we go to page 17. I'm learning to go to jump ahead here. And why are you not doing that? You should be view, home. Where's my thingamajigamabob? No, I want, you know what? Screw this, because I can't find the whole, is it this? No. There, because I can't see, there we go. Because it was starting to do some weird stuff. Sorry for you're getting a lot of black space, but that's it. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Well, that's good though. I got to say this, Meandering Mike. Boy, did I have some fun, and then you just one-upped me. And when I saw Tolemykus hop on board with the little fun we were having with words and stuff, I went, okay, that's when I said I'm tapping out. I was like, I'm out of here. Like, forget it. I'll leave the experts go. Anyway, shush. Here, oh my God, that word, shush. The Smuggler of Louvain, Belgium, 1914. In August 1914, Germany invaded Belgium as part of the Schlieffen Plan, aiming to sweep through the small neutral country to reach France. Oh my gosh. On a side note, I will be doing a video about the reboot for the SPI World War I game there after Meandering Mike said, anyways, I am, and I'll do a video. And of course, as we know, France is the one that invades Belgium, which is totally cool. Anyways, German advance was swift and brutal, marked by reprisals against Belgian resistance. One of the most infamous events of the early war was the burning of Louvain, where German forces destroyed the city's historical library, looted homes, and executed civilians suspected of aiding the Belgian army. By the way, if anybody, I'm just taking an off chance that there won't be anybody watching the After Hours show at that point in time when I do want to ask this question, so I'm doing it now. I think I just figured out what the answer is, though, is what was the city in Germany in World War II that had the military archives that got wiped out by firebombing? You guys would know that. I mentioned it in the after hours thing because I was like, oh my gosh. And it's a long story. Well, it is. It's a long story. It's a long after hours, whatever. Amidst the chaos, Father August Vandermeer, a Catholic priest, had taken on a dangerous secret mission. He was hiding a wounded British intelligence officer, Lieutenant Edward Harrington, who had been gathering information on German troop movements when his unit was ambushed. Harrington carried with him a coded notebook detailing key German supply routes, which, if delivered to Allied forces, could help disrupt the enemy's advance. As German forces intensified their crackdowns, Vandermeer needed to smuggle Harrington out of Louvain before he was discovered. However, rumors had begun spreading that a British spy was being harbored by local resistance. The Germans had offered a hefty reward for information leading to the arrest of enemy agents, and several false reports had already been made. The window for escape was closing fast. Oh, Dresden, thank you. Thank you, guys. That's it. It is the Dresden thing, yes. But thank you very much. Oh my gosh, we will get right after this. I want to mention the thing about that thing to you, William Arent. Well, it doesn't sound like you're probably going to be hanging out with your wife. But anybody, anyways, that's in the Toronto area, boy, does this look like a really good movie to go see. We'll find out about it in a minute. Question. As Father Vandermeer, what is the best course of action? A, disguise Harrington as a local priest and move him through occupied territory using church networks for safe passage. I must admit, I like that one right off the bat. Thanks, Tolemykus. B, hide the coded notebook in a hollowed out Bible and send it with trusted courier while Harrington remains hidden in Louvain. C, bribe a German officer known to take payments from resistance groups. That sounds like the worst possible thing to do. From resistance groups to ensure, you might as well just go and walk to headquarters with it. To ensure safe passage out of the city. D, stage a fire at a nearby building to create distraction while smuggling Harrington out under the cover of chaos. Come on, you better get your no performance anxiety here, Meandering Mike. D, stage a fire at, and I'm going to do D again for you, so I give you time. D, stage a fire at a nearby building to create a distraction while smuggling Harrington out under cover of chaos. And it's even giving you the word chaos, Meandering Mike, for your chaotic mind. E, wait for nightfall and attempt to sneak through the German lines on foot, despite heavy patrol presence. Clues and false reports. A local informant working with the Germans had falsely accused an innocent shopkeeper of harboring spies, creating confusion. Aha! We've got the F in a minute. I'm going to get to it. A smuggler known to assist and it's a monster. A smuggler known to assist Belgian resistance fighters had vanished days earlier. Cool. Possibly captured, possibly in hiding. The Germans had recently tightened security in response to rumors of intelligence leaks, making movement difficult. Use the priest. A sympathetic German officer, Hauptmann Rice. All I would do is, if I was the priest, is just start pretending I can speak Latin and hope to God the other guy can't. A sympathetic German officer, Hauptmann Weiss, was rumored to have helped resistance members escape, but it was unclear whether he could be trusted. The coded notebook contained details on ammunition depots near Liège, but it was uncertain whether the information was still current. And we're going to go to option F. F, use a long blue Belgian linen cloak to have Vandermeer ride on Harrington's shoulders and pose as iterant wrestler Andre the Giant, heading into Liège and wander past the Germans. Oh my God. I'm thinking of, oh yeah, I can see that pic. Whatever. Excellent, dude. Excellent. Wouldn't I wish we had, if you can go and find, somebody can find a link to that similar picture, that'd be great. Discussion topics. How did occupied Belgium resist German rule during World War I? 2, I wonder, you know what? It would be so weird if because I haven't been doing it in a few weeks, is post these up to the community tab there, and somebody would actually select F. That would be neat. How did occupied Belgium resist German rule during World War I? That would be really neat. to discuss. 2, what role did love espionage? What role did espionage and intelligence networks play in early war efforts? And that's one thing I love about you, Tolemykus. Boy, do you ever pump out that stuff. You always seem to find a little bent to it. 3, how did religious figures such as priests and nuns aid in smuggling and resistance movements? 4, what were the risks of aiding enemy combatants in occupied zones? 5, could small acts of espionage, like smuggling a single notebook, truly alter military strategy? I think so. Yeah, you're right. And of course, you're right. I would never be allowed to do the Option F. I'd have to get rid of whatever. I think I revealed it, but we'll pretend I didn't. All right, we're going to go to, we're going to pop on the ATA here, so at least I'll know it's here. We're doing pretty darn good for 25 more minutes that I wanted to make sure that we talked about. I'm going to stop the screen for a second, and then because I wanted to go to that next link, which is the film screening for the second Battle of Ypres, Wednesday, April 23rd, the Central Ontario branch for the Western Front Association. And we're about to, I'm sure they're going to tell you a heck of a lot more about it than I can. I'd like to go, but I have to be realistic, unfortunately. Oops. And there you guys can see it. Oh, goody. It's not too bad size. So there's the film screen for the second Battle of Ypres. And more, well, I've never seen that. I don't think I've seen that memorial there. But anyways, there you are from 6 to 8:30 at, and there it is. Come join us for a special screening at the Royal Canadian Military Institute as we dive into the historic second Ypres in 1915. Witness the bravery and sacrifice of Canadian soldiers during this pivotal moment in history. Don't miss out on the unique opportunity to learn and reflect on our country's past. Reserve your spot now. And it looks pretty darn good. Anyways, I'm going to stop that screen, and then we're going to go off to your ATA, William Arends. Or the first bit, and if we've got more stuff. But like I said, I really want... even start now, guys. I know that a lot of you guys already have popped in your suggestions and whatnot, but please keep on going. I will say this, what I would like to do, I don't know if I ever got around to talking about it, about the William Arends thing is, so with that bit, the only wrinkle, and I sent it off and to a reply to William Arends, is the fact that in order to have some kind of complementary material with the war summary for the after hours show, is that obviously I'm going to have that way ahead of time, so that way I can figure out a way of integrating it into a recording that way. So there could be a little bit of, I don't know, William Arends and me segments. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Thank you, Zoe Dufour. That makes sense. So maybe in the sense that I could record, pause, because I am able to do that with StreamYard. As well as now I have and I did download some software where I can also integrate pieces, stitch together different videos, which would be great. So good. Thank you very much for that. That's a really good idea. Because yeah, I was trying, because I think that will also Zoe Dufour help with the fact of eliminating difficulties in trying to stick with a certain schedule with time constraints. Things are going to happen to William Arends and me, and it's just the way it is. So you're right. That's a great idea. But just maybe a certain deadline. William Arends provides the material by this date, which allows me time to start editing and integrating. Excellent. Thank you very much. Translator's note. Here we go. Here are some of the reports from the higher headquarters printed in the Berlin's latest news. And I guess you were saying, William Arends, that it does look like there's no longer the nonpartisan newspaper little bit, which is sad to see, isn't it? Our week from Sunday, April 13th to Saturday, April 19th, transposed. Yeah, you've noticed this, haven't you? I love this. Transposed to 1917. Remember, in 1917, right now it's Thursday. gives us a 7-day period that runs from Friday, April 13th to 17 to Thursday, April 19th, 1917. The Time Ghost folks also face this constraint, presenting the world wars in weak form that adheres to the present calendar year rather than the historical calendar year that they were covering. It still is a period of 7 days, whatever days that they encompass. You want to see another one, which is interesting, William Arends, is trying for me to watch the Great War episodes week to week, somehow coherent, concurrent with what's going on here, and it's not. They're a bit off. His weeks are off with ours, so I'm always like, okay, I'm kind of like going into another week, but it's just the way it goes. What I'm sending you in this email is a sample of those official dispatches that were approved by the government of the Reich through the censorship of the Wenzel Telegraphic Bureau, WTB. I do believe that they would make a good counterpoint for the newspaper excerpts that you compile to be read after the live stream. I was trying to send this batch to you earlier in the week, and I apologize for not doing so. Goodness gracious. But thank you for considering. As ever, use the material as you see fit. I do find it interesting, and I did find this interesting that you wrote this, because we'll talk about it. I do find it interesting that at this stage of the war, it is Ludendorff in his capacity as the first quartermaster general who signs off on dispatches from the German higher headquarters of the general staff. The only exception to his oversight of these reports is when they come from the Austrian High Command, in which case the deputy of that general staff, von Hofer, a lieutenant field marshal, is the name that follows the report. And the reason why I'm glad that you brought that up is I'm not sure when it's going to happen or if it has happened or what. But I remember reading, Holger Afflerbach's book, On a Knife Edge. Please, I strongly suggest picking that book up. It is fantastic. He mentions that more or less Ludendorff is calling the shots, but they're still using Hindenburg as the nice, cuddly, teddy bear looking grandpa figure, and he often is signing off on certain things to make it look like it was him. But I don't know, like, is this afterwards or is it for different things? Like, is it more for more public display stuff? I think probably. Whereas this is probably what you're saying, William Arends. This is more for the actual meat and potatoes operational stuff. Shouldn't use potatoes, should I? Or meat, for that matter, considering we're talking about Germany in 1917. But maybe we should just be talking turnips. But there, you get the idea. So anyways, Berlin's latest news. Nope, I don't see that beautiful thing, the nonpartisan newspaper. Sunday, 15th of April, 1917, the evening edition. From our headquarters, the higher headquarters, the Western Theater of War, the Army Group of the Crown Prince of Bavaria, Ruprecht, on the north wing of the battlefield near Arras, the initial results of a heavy assault on Givenchy-en-Gohel were set right by a counterattack. On the road from Arras, Gavrel up to Skars, 2 times the offensive by enemy divisions were rebuffed. The enemy had heavy losses. Southeast of Arras, the other attacks that occurred, including those with cavalry, were defeated. On the main street of Péronne, up to the Cambrai and Le Catalest, near Guisancourt and Haricourt, small-scale combat occurred. Yesterday by Saint-Quentin and on the line connecting the town to the south, active fire continued to be laid down. This was in preparation for a French attack that was to occur on both banks of the Somme early on the morning of the 15th of April. That did not go off as planned. The Army Group of the German Crown Prince, the active artillery battle along the Aisne and in the Western Champagne continued with varying intensity. We have thrown back multiple incursions of reconnaissance units, from which we have taken 100 French soldiers into our hands. The Army Group of Duke Albrecht, the situation is unaltered. From the Austrian Theater of War and on the mass, I don't know about you guys, I find it rather interesting, because I haven't seen it in the English newspapers, is that, or maybe it is in the French, I don't know, but certainly don't see them in the English ones where they're that specific of like, okay, Fourth Army is doing this, Third Army is doing that. It's pretty neat. From the Austrian theater of war and on the Macedonian front, nothing special has happened. In the West, the enemy has lost 13 aircraft, while 2 aircraft were lost in the East. The first quartermaster general Ludendorff. And that's it for that. Let's go back to the narrative very quickly so I can see what the hell I was supposed to be talking about. Even though, like I said, I want to make sure that we're getting into the whatever. So we did the headlines. Yeah, we're gonna go. Hold your horses here. We're gonna see how we're gonna go about this. I want to show you because I haven't done them today, but and I've done this before. I remember making a video about it, showing you how I go about taking a look at the headlines. But I was like, you know what? Like I said, yet again, about trying to find ways of becoming more efficient. It takes me a long time, believe it or not, to do those 4 headlines daily, every day. Like you'd be like, what? This is like 4 headlines, poor res image and whatnot. But it believe it or not, it's a lot of work. I'm shocked at how many hours go in, not hours, but over an hour, easily over an hour, easily. And it's just shocking. Anyways, so I'm trying to figure out better ways of presenting the information because I certainly want to do that. There's no way I'm going to stop doing that. So hold on here. So we're off to making sure everybody's got, so you guys can see that, but I'm going to make sure that you guys can see it much, much bigger. And I'm going to get it a bit bigger. So here we are for, hopefully you guys can see, yeah, you guys can, I'll make it a little bit bigger there. And hopefully it won't get too crazy because I can't make this thing on the left-hand side go away. But I want you guys to see some of the headlines for today in 1917. And some are really neat. As you know, remember, this is from Toronto, so it's not just going to be war every 3 seconds. But there's some interesting stuff. How the bent question is dealt with in cities. A real merry-go-round government deals with soldiers' family. Like, it's just a lot of interesting stuff, as far as I know. Or I think. Where's the one that I was like, okay, let's go here quickly. Where are you? No, the anti-German riots. And look where it is. It's in Brazil, for goodness sakes. Brazilians tear down flags and smash windows. It's just on and on and on. There's just so much going on. It's so difficult. And I want to just share so much with you guys. And it's impossible. It's impossible. And then there's the editorial big, long articles, and it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm trying to figure out ways of doing this over and over. Oh my gosh, what's this? For Serbian relief. That's probably one of those. Yes, exactly. Making an urgent appeal for immediate assistance. The need for food and clothing for the Serbian refugees continues unabated. Canadian wheat is entering the United States. Is this the crump? Yes. Okay, this is going to be answering one of my questions, I think, perhaps. Secure 5 Austrians at the works of sheet metal. Oh, no, it isn't. I was getting all excited there. I thought it was about, because I know the Allies bombed some plant. I wasn't sure if it was a or they got some guns. I wasn't sure if it was the Krupp guns or the Scoti. I don't know enough yet. Texas King's message to President Wilson. Flying men, the chivalry of the air. What's this? Look at this. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff to read and just find out about. Oh my gosh. 28 British ships lost last week. 7 Italian ships sunk. Remember, that was 8 last week. Oh my gosh. Recruiting method. Wilson's message in Hun trenches. Great efforts made to tell German soldiers the truth. How ironic. Various steps have been taken to place the German people, the President Warren. Oh, oh. What else? What else? But you get the idea. There's just so much there. I'm going to stop the screen because I'm just going to end up sidetracked. Let's go to let's go quickly. You know what? Look at some of the pictures or some of the headlines I did notice this week that I would like to take a look at that I just didn't have enough time to do anything about, really. So hold on here. I'm going to put me sideways a little bit. Yeah, that's all right. But I am going to do it this way. There we go. So there's Anzac, too scared to be commercialized. Too sacred, sorry, to be commercialized. Yeah, they were just saying that the order is passed and an order canceled declaring that no trademark can use the word Anzac. I guess people are already trying to do it. Hold on here. See if I can find some more headlines. So anyways, what I'm saying in the long run, guys, is I'm trying to figure out a way eventually of making this live stream more efficient, getting as much information out, as much interaction with you guys as possible, and also making my life as easy as possible so I can do a zillion other things. It doesn't mean that, did I show it? No, my gosh, that would have been horrible not to show you this. Oh my gosh. So this is a book, well, behind my head, behind me there, that I picked up a while ago. I think I actually picked this up at the Salvation Army thrift store, believe it or not. But I want you to see some amazing pictures. This one just blew me away. So you can't really read it over here on the bit here, but it says, I think it's called The Light of Death. And when I saw it, and it's a searchlight, and basically it's just looking around, combing around the area, and they even had it. You can see here it says they had even like searchlight regiments, and then they ended up having like dedicated sections and in divisions and whatnot. And I would just comb the area, and then as soon as they spotted you, I guess they would nail you with machine gun fire. But when I saw this, and then I was also thinking about H.G. Wells, and I was like, oh my gosh, it just reminded me so much of the heat ray. Anyway, so there we go. And then this one. Come on, people! I'm gonna have to blow this up. I think it's just an illusion. And I'll have to read it out to you. The quote, the thing for this book. You see this little bit here? I don't think that's a person. Do you guys? There's no scale really, but I think that's. I'm assuming that's like. But anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think that's an actual, or do you think it looks like a person? It's just my mind. That's not really a person, do you think? I don't think so. But it just, that picture just was like, you've got to be joking. It just like that trench or that whatever just looks so, oh my gosh. Look at that. Anyways, it says some 3,300 meters above sea level, the Marmolada was the highest glacier mass in the Dolomites, and at the same time formed the border between Austria-Hungary and the Kingdom of Italy. The war in the Alps took place on peaks that had previously only been known to locals and mountaineers. And that just, gun emplacement. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah, I wasn't really sure here. I'll pump it up again. Yeah, you're right. I mean, come on, because I'm like, what is this? Like how, I'm assuming that's like a proper trench, you know what I mean? As in big enough where you can walk and maybe crouch a little bit. So yeah, you're right. I'm sure that's not a real. Well done. You guys are both on the same thing. So I'm going to go with you guys for sure. So thanks, because that picture is just like, Jesus. Murphy, Crazyville, and I'm going to show you a few other things because we're doing 6 minutes in. Hunt Airman, I would love to find out about this person. Hunt Airman sends word of Toronto aviator's death. Maybe a small lookout tower. Oops, sorry. Yes. From a German aviator comes the news that Flight Lieutenant Stanley James Pepler, who was on March 12th, was reported missing, was killed in an air battle. The message was flung from a German airplane near a British aerodrome, and it stated that both Lieutenant Pepler and his observer had been killed. In a message to the parents at 557 Huron Street, Lieutenant Pepler's commanding officer says that he was fighting one German in midair when another enemy airplane came from behind and shot him down. Two brothers, Lieutenants Grant and Harry Pepler, have both been wounded. Oh, thank you. I got another comment about that. Snow trench for men to walk back and forth and peer over the slopes. Perfect. Thank you. And you wonder why I love doing this show. Jeepers jump. Oops, that's not a... And I mean it. I'm being serious. That's like, come on. Is this the viewpoint? Yes, I want to. And there's another one I would so like to look at. Hold on, I know it's brutal, but there you go. Look at that. It can never cease to be a matter of profound interest to the people of the English-speaking race on both sides of the Atlantic to know the real attitude of the German Americans toward the part their country is elected to play in the European war. Wow. I mean, that's just all that material is just sitting around waiting. This is another one of the most singular things about this. Who is this person? Oh yeah, I want to find out about this person. I think she's in town right now, or she was in town. The music critic of the show, and then this the guy, the founder of Esperanto, Dr. Ludwig Zamenhof, author of Esperanto, died yesterday at Warsaw, according to advices received here. And I wanted you to see this other little tiddly bit. Esperanto, its author, and then this whole other thing about going on about which I would love to take a look at as well. Maybe the best thing to do sometimes is, if I find this material, I know we've mentioned this before, is trying to get some kind of website set up so that way there's a repository for all of William Arends' ATAs and this type of stuff, and Tolemykus's material. I think that would be a great idea. I just got to get around to doing it. That's why I said I'm trying to get into this rejigging aspect of. It's the only other thing, because I'm not, like I said, I don't know how many people are going to actually start, is that there's the world's greatest single loan occurred this week as well. The Americans approved a huge, and the Congress approved it. President Wilson signed off on it, and I think they loaned out something like $3 billion to France and Britain or something like that. And remember, we found out way back when that, my goodness, it took Great Britain till 1986 to pay off their debt for the Great War to the United States. I was like, what? You've got to be joking. That's insanity. All right, so we're down to 3 minutes. Let's just stop. I hope you don't mind, William Arends, about not doing whatever material that you just sent. Let's take a quickie look, actually. Hold on here. Because maybe there is something. I think you did mention something that was rather interesting, so hold on here. Oops. You sent me off too, or no, maybe one was just here. Oh, it's not very long, so that's excellent. I don't think so. Or did I already read this one? Or maybe it's just, anyways, I'm going to grab the whole thing, and then if we start just going, hey, wait a minute, we've already read this. Hold your horses here. I'm going to get a new thing. Make sure it's home. And make sure it's a nice big fat font for everybody to see. And away we go. Read that, and then we're off to this super long after hours. Oh my gosh. It's going to be crazy. What in the world? I think I picked the wrong font. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Much better. All right. Present. Share the screen. You guys can see that, and off we go. We'll see what's cooking here. Translator's note: I did not have the energy to type out this last report that I had translated, but after a few hours sleep, I can. Oh, cool. Hopefully, this is a useful effort that helps to flesh out the weekly events of the Great War. Berlin's latest news, Thursday, 19th of April, 1917, the evening edition from our headquarters, the higher headquarters. The Western Theatre of War, the army group of Crown Prince Ruprecht. On the Flanders and Artois fronts, the rains and storms meant that only limited sectors could be involved in active combat. Yeah, they've been mentioning that as well during the the after reports for the Vimy attack, talking about blinding snowstorms and so on and so forth. Holy moly! The army group of the German and people, as well as they did make it out to a certain thing and had to stay overnight or whatever and froze to death. That type of stuff. It wasn't fun. The army group of the German Crown Prince, a discovered enemy order, shows how extensive the goals were about the attack by the French divisions on the 16th of April, the first day of Nivelles' offensive. The hopes of the French leadership were not met at any position on the battlefield, for at no place have their troops got near to the points that they wanted to reach, to say nothing of their strategic goals. So this is 3 days after. Remember, 48 hours. If it didn't work, he was going to pull the plug, and I think we're going to find out they did not. But it's awesome to see the Germans mentioning that it's not working. Through the night of the 17th to the 18th of April, the French began an attack near Brave. In the course of the day, on multiple positions on the front of the hill of the Chenin of Our Lady, there was especially bitter fighting by Crayon, where repeated attacks produced only bloody sacrifices. Near La Ville aux Bois, after we found that this woodland position was unsuitable for us to use, we reached a point behind it where we established our new line. In Briemont, the French sent 16 Russians. Oh, yes! Thank you, William Ernst, for mentioning this, as I also mentioned it in the war summary. Freaks me out that Russians are, well, we knew of that anyways. They've been there for a long time now. The Russians have been on the Western Front. Remember, it was that tit-for-tat thing where the Russians were asking for stuff from the French, and the French were like, sure, we'll give you some supplies and Lord knows what, but we want some men in return. And then the French, I think the Russian generals at that time, I wasn't sure it was around the Brusilov offensive or whatever, but I know they were wanting to strip some troops away from the Macedonian front. And Russian generals were like, are you out of your freaking tree, man? But politics wins out, as you know, and next thing you know, you got Russian troops on the freaking Western Front. And now they're on the Western Front there and having to read about their news about their country falling apart with the Russian Revolution. That must be so weird being a Russian soldier on the Western Front right now. Like, I don't know about you. I'd be starting to question what the hell I'm doing there. A lot more than I probably already was. In the army group of Duke Albrecht, no important results to report. The Eastern Theatre of War. In an as yet particularly comfortable and calm course of days, the Russian artillery fire, especially between Pripyat and Dustir, is once again active. At least now we're talking about where the Russians should be, for goodness sakes, near the Pripyat marshes. Macedonian front, Niknus, nothing new or all quiet. The first General Quartermaster Ludendorff. That's it. I can pop this off. Boink. No. Excellent. And I can get, no, I'm going to go off to make sure that we're off into YouTube land because we're at 12:03. There we go. So anyways, later on, you guys can keep on popping away, putting in comments or whatever. I'm going to probably pop in, put some extra stuff in the community tabs throughout the week. The way I'm looking at it, like I said, I'm just trying to figure out ways, and it's more for me in the back end is what I'm trying to say, for me to try to figure out during the week. Okay, where am I going to start? I'm actually just going to have to start putting down, making the timetable and going, okay, I have to stick to this timetable and doing certain things and having a bit of whatever. And I think it's going to be a little bit of turbulence right now. Even this live stream has been a bit turbulent, but I think in the long run things are going to go really well. Like I said, I'm excited. I think we're doing good. I think anyway. So there we go. I'm going to pop on the, hold your, got to pop it on here. Remember, like I said, I apologize ahead of time if anybody's sticking around for the after hours live stream war summary, is that, boy, oh boy, do I ever say shush a lot. It's not funny. Let's go and find out how long. Hold on, what are you doing here? There we go. We're in the wrong thing. I'm going to, so anyways, here we go. I'm going to pop on the thing. Everyone has a great remainder of your weekend, great week. It looks like the sun is kind of poking out a little tiny bit, which would be wonderful to see. Hold on, I want to make sure I get to 116. We're not bad. The 116 is only 53 minutes long this time. I thought it was going to be insanely a lot worse than it is. Okay, so hold on here. I got to make sure I pop it into the window so you guys can see it. Good. So now I'm gonna get rid of myself, as you know. Boink. There we go. Oops. Hey. What happened here? There we go. All right. Good. So that's it. I'm off. 116 bottles of schnapps on the wall. 100 bottles of schnapps. I wonder if we could do that for 53 minutes. I'm not going to try. But anyways, great to see you guys. Off I go. Like I said, I'm going to turn into a texter just like you people. All right, here we go. Live stream 116 for April 13th to the 19th, 1917. I'm going to say this. I don't think I've ever done this before in the sense that I've gone in cold. I have not even looked at a single. I printed them off, the war summary, but I didn't even read them ahead of time. The worst I think I've ever done before is, read, I don't know, maybe let's say 60, 70%, and then was like, okay, let's hope for the best. But it's just been a long week, and it's all part of the course right now to take a look at what's going on. But anyways, here we go, because we're going to see, I think the war summary is going to change going forward, especially if William and Arends and me knock heads together and come up with some beautiful stuff. Anyways, here we go. The war summary. General Haig continues to drive wedges into the enemy's defenses and to clear the roads to Blois and Cambrai. It was a day of stiff fighting. Canadian and British troops beating off counterattacks and gaining fresh ground in the straightening out of their lines. Sweeping down from Neuville-Vitasse to the Courjoy River, General Haig's troops captured Hill 90 and occupied the heights on the right bank of the stream. In the angle between Monchy-le-Preux and Croisilles, the enemy is under heavy pressure and may be forced to withdraw. The entire valley of the Souchez, according to Stuart Lyon, is in possession of the British, who now look down on the German positions in the plain of Cambrai. To say this right off the bat, already I'm like, wow, I'm doing pretty good. I haven't started ad-libbing or whatever. I'm like, oh, give it time, Chris. I'll start getting relaxed and a bit, whatever. Oh, brother. Yesterday, well, hopefully it's a good, oh, brother, how's that? Yesterday was another day of glory for the Canadian troops when they stormed and captured the enemy trenches along a mile front south of Vimy Ridge. The position carried runs to the south of the Farbus Wood, from which the enemy was cleared on Tuesday last. Along this line of defense, the enemy has been resisting with great stubbornness the Canadian advance since Vimy Crest was carried. The enemy has now been driven out of his defenses from the last portion of the Vimy Ridge down to the southern bank of the Courjoy River. British forces occupying the villages of Wancourt and Hininel. Fighting in a 40-mile gale, holy moly, with snow, even me who doesn't know Imperial, with snow, rain, and sleet making progress slow and difficult. The British yesterday at dawn delivered a smashing blow at the enemy north of the Vimy Ridge. As I know it's more than 40 kilometers per hour, penetrating the German lines northwest of Gand-Vichy. The attack was carried out on scheduled time. Monchy-le-Preux Heights, the southern link in the chain of hills now held by General Haig's troops, was again subjected to a strong German counterattack, which was repulsed. The enemy losses in attempting to regain this position were very heavy. Hindenburg was given the orders to take Monchy Heights at all cost, and heavy fighting has been in progress since Tuesday for possession of the ridge. The opposing forces met at Monchy, where the fight for possession of the heights developed into a fierce engagement. The British concentrated batteries of field artillery and turned the tide of battle in their favor. In addition to the advantage of the high ground, the British have succeeded in straightening out their northern line. The Canadians have made a great haul in guns in the fighting on Vimy Ridge. Great quantities of ammunition also fell into their hands. Shortage in artillery horses prevented the enemy removing his guns in time, owing to the swiftness of the Canadian advance. Through prisoners captured, it was learned that the Hindenburg that Hindenburg had gone as far as Douai, 2 of the big Austrian siege guns, of the caliber that reduced Liège and Antwerp. So I guess the Skodas, is that it? Or the Krups? Before they could reach their destination at Fontainebleau, the place was in the possession of the British. Please, someone let me know. Is it the Krups or the Skodas? According to German prisoners, prussic acid shells, oh my gosh, were to have been fired from these long-range monsters. It will be interesting to watch what use will be made of these 42-centimeter Big Berthas in defense of Douai. Mr. Lloyd George yesterday welcomed the American nation as comrades in arms. The entry into the war of the United States, he declared, would bring succor to the Allies and the stupendous resources now at their command. But the chief cause of rejoicing, he added, was that the advent of the United States into this war gives the final stamp to the character of the conflict as a struggle against military autocracy throughout the world. The British premier was the guest of the American Luncheon Club in London, and later was the guest of the Pilgrims Club at a dinner given in honor of the American ambassador. The way is paved for the success of Mr. Balfour's mission to Washington. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, but I have to do it. Well, I just think it's fascinating that, well, we've mentioned this, and because lots of people are saying it. It's like, oh, it's interesting that they could say about this about against military autocracy. Now that the Tsar's out of there, oh, darn it. And I missed the April 16th lecture they had on Tsar Nicholas, darn it, from the World War I, National World War I Museum and Memorial. But anyways, it's probably on YouTube now, but darn it. And let's go up to here. You know what I was thinking, which was interesting? Remember, they were saying that later on, I don't know about now, but I guess later on, I don't know, when they were trying to bomb Paris, that it's something like over, 2 minutes at least, until like from a firing of a shell till it actually hit the position, and they had to worry about the curvature of the earth and all this amazing stuff. I'm wondering if like some of the relatives in that ended up becoming like, you know what I mean? Their ancestors ended up becoming, I don't know, scientists for the V2 or something. It'd just be neat to know. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way of finding out. There's probably better ways of using your time, though. Anyways, the British in Palestine have occupied Turkish territory to a depth of 15 miles and are taking a number of prisoners. Oh, this is so cool, though, as well, eh? Because remember, Corvinus Wargaming mentioned it last week, or confirmed it. There's only been the 2 battles of Gaza so far, and both have been duds for the British. But boy, are they spinning a good yarn. Anyways, and are taking a number of prisoners. They are now before Gaza, where the Turks have lost 8,000 men. The British dead number 400. Small British forces entered Gaza, but isolated by a fog which sprang up, were cut off, and are reported missing. The fight for the Pimple, yes, that's on Vimy, is the last position held by the Germans on Vimy Ridge, is described by Stuart Lyon, Canadian press correspondent at the front, as one of the most fiercely contested engagements in which the Canadians have recently taken part. In a blinding snowstorm at 5:30 in the morning, the Canadians advanced to the assault under machine gun fire against picked German troops, and by 7 o'clock, the enemy was in full retreat on Gand-Vichy. The victory gives the Canadians absolute command of the entire ridge. Mexico's attitude in this war is causing some anxiety to Uncle Sam, as well as to the Allies. The Tampico oil fields and other oil supplies in Mexico, in which American and British capital is invested, have proved of great service in this war. Britain and France drawing large supplies for their fleets. Representatives as to the safeguarding these oil fields for the use of the Allies have been made by Washington. General Carranza has assured the United States government that supplies will not be withheld from the United States or Great Britain. Yeah, or otherwise they'll blockade you, just like they did with Greece and everybody else for, sorry. On the Arras and Saint-Quentin fronts, General Haig that was bad of me, is hammering at the German line and capturing more ground. On a 12-mile front northeast of Arras and on a 9-mile front northwest of Saint-Quentin, the German defenses have been broken and the enemy forced to fall back. General Haig is pushing in the wedge between Saint-Quentin and Cambrai and has outflanked the Havrincourt Wood on the south. Snow has fallen steadily for 3 days, adding to the difficulty of bringing up the guns. Northeast of Lens, the British yesterday gained a footing in the German trenches, capturing guns and prisoners. Sweeping along a 12-mile front from north of the Scarpe to the south of Luce, the British captured 5 villages, including Vimy. The British northern line now runs from the high ground northeast of Lens through Angers, Ganvechy-en-Goël, Vimy, Farbus, Willerval, Belul, Fampoux, and Monchy-le-Preux. The British are now astride the Hindenburg line at a point 7 miles southeast of Arras. South of the Arras-Cambrai Road, Vancourt Tower, a fine observation post on the hill east of Vancourt village, was captured. Closing in on Saint-Quentin, the French yesterday morning carried several lines of trenches between the Somme and the Saint-Quentin railway. The enemy stubbornly defended the position. The battle is still raging in front of these captured trenches. Between the Somme and the Aisne, the French guns heavily shelled German organizations. Farther south, successful raiding operations were carried out and about 60 prisoners captured. In the Aisne and Champagne regions, artillery fighting is going on. The fall of Saint-Quentin is regarded as imminent. French troops have reached the suburbs of the town. Oh my gosh, come on, man. This is game all, jeepers jumping. Wouldn't you want a game that? I would. The town is being sacked and burned by the enemy, a sure sign of impending evacuation. The rapidity of the British advance and the capture of Vimy Ridge have upset Hindenburg's plans. Vimy town and Ganvechy, now in the hands of the British, were regarded by the Germans as impregnable. The retirement of the Germans 5 miles farther east to the Drucourt-Quillan line is regarded as imminent. The number of prisoners captured in the recent fighting totals more than 13,000, according to a British official statement. The number of guns captured is 166. In a midnight dispatch from Canadian headquarters, Stuart Lyons states that several of the big caliber guns captured are new weapons. German prisoners state that these heavy guns had arrived from Lille only 2 days before. It's the same ones we were talking about previous page, I'm assuming, before the Battle of Arras opened. Among the booty captured by the Canadians are 30 guns, 42-centimeter ones they were talking about, 74 machine guns, and 49 trench mortars. The prisoners taken by the Canadians included in the total of 13,000, number over 4,000. The food shortage in Germany has led to a further reduction in the rations, just like in Britain this week. According to the Dusseldorf, and there's even like a meatless day for the well-to-do. According to the Dusseldorf, General Ansinger, hard necessity compels a reduction in the bread ration of 25% to begin on April 15th. The German newspaper adds that the old crop, of which only a month's supply remains, must last for 4 months. That's why you're having a reduction of 25%. The coming of peace, it warns, the people of the Rhinelands will not solve the problem of food shortages, which will continue for some time after the war. The Germans are relying upon the Romanian wheat crop in their possession to enable them to hold out. Oh my gosh, but you remember what? I don't know about how much they're going to get. But remember that British general there on their evacuation from there, they were like, with the oil fields as well, and he ended up dumping tons of oil in the wheat. So I was like, well, that's the end of that. Anyways, Hungary is in the throes of a reform agitation. A dispatch from Budapest states that the Hungarian parliament has suspended its sittings by imperial order, owing to the stormy scenes created by the opposition deputies who demanded a suffrage bill. The building of wooden ships and the taking over of German-interested intern steamers for the dispatch of supplies to the Allies and to defeat Germany's submarine campaign will be carried out without loss of time by the United States government. Oh, remember we were talking about that last week with Manny and Mike when we were saying maybe it's probably once they get to capacity, they can pump out 2 wooden ships a day. Anyways, Rear Admiral William Sims has arrived in Britain to consult with the Admiralty as to plans for the cooperation of the United States Navy with the Allied countries. And isn't it the United States that are pro-convoy already? So maybe this is now the final clinker. But I don't know when it started. But I know that there was like a little test. Remember, they were like, okay, maybe we'll let the coal ships that are going across the channel back and forth as a test, and we'll convoy them. And it was like orders of magnitude less ships lost. Anyways, In addition, Premier Lord George, in response to a cable from Samuel Gompers, has decided to send 2 labor leaders and 2 experts in welfare work in connection with munitions factories to the United States as additional members of Mr. Balfour's mission. Oh, yes. Remember when that's the final, I think it was, which is interesting that, I mean, Churchill gets a lot of whatever shtick at this time of his life. Colonel, I guess we should say. Anyways, what am I saying here? I think he's a colonel. Anyways, I think he's one of the people that said, hey, no, the convoy's a great idea. People were like, oh my God, don't stick all the ships together. Are you nuts? And then he, you know, it was kind of like, do you guys realize how big the flipping ocean is? The oceans are. This is not like 10 ships, you know, with one ship. And like, you're not going to, it doesn't matter. If you find one ship, you're going to be able to find all 10 kind of thing. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, shush. German official reports display an economy of truth where they do not actually lie. The midnight report from Berlin, mind you, subs are already having a hard time as it is. There's no radar yet. The midnight report from Berlin sums up the day's fighting in a few lines in which it is stated that there have been no engagements near Arras and only strong firing in the direction of Bulko. I still think it must be so scary back then to be a passenger on a ship. I don't care what you're doing on it, or just even a crew person. Just the dark ocean and there's no radar and it's like, oh my gosh, like there's something out there, maybe the nail just wow. It's just imagine prey on your mind all the time. Would me anyways. The Germans are at bay, fighting desperately to hold up the British advance, which like a spring tide is sweeping eastward. From Quoin to Saint-Quentin, the enemy is stiffening the Hindenburg line. Lens and Saint-Quentin, which the Allied forces are fast encircling, were ablaze yesterday. The enemy suffered heavy losses in a strong counterattack on a 6-mile front to relieve the British pressure on Quoin, important as the switch point of the Hindenburg line. Through the concentration of artillery, the enemy gained a temporary foothold at Languicourt, opposite Quoin, which had been captured by the British several weeks ago. A British counterattack regained Languicourt. Yeah, I thought that's what we were talking about last week, and I was having a bitch of a time while still pronouncing it. 200 prisoners were taken and heavy losses inflicted on the retiring foe. Airplane photos of the German lines show that the retiring troops are digging in behind the temporary line, but the trenches are merely emergency defenses to provide cover for machine guns. The Germans are fighting to delay the British advance long enough to complete the rear defenses on which they are falling back. And let's be honest, regardless what's happening, even with the Hindenburg line, as far as I'm concerned, we are seeing the very, very beginnings, from what I can see, of open warfare, I guess it would be called. I'm not sure. Yeah, it would be open warfare. I think there's a difference between open maneuver. I don't know the whatevers. But anyways, we are getting away from trench warfare a little bit. Like, you know, now they're starting to use pillboxes and whatever, not like a continuous line of trenches in certain areas. Like, as long as there's mutual, what do they call it, fire support and all that stuff. Laws has fallen according to, and, you know, also funnel the troops to come into those areas, those killing zones. You get the idea. Anyways, laws has fallen according to unofficial reports. Patrols entered the burning town yesterday morning at 5 o'clock. Surrounded on 3 sides, the enemy's defenses were obliterated by the concentrated fire of the British guns under General Horn. Oh my goodness. The leading artillery expert in the British Army. We were just talking about him last week. He was the freaking trivia dude, which Brian R. Smith got. Lens is the coal center of northern France. Its loss will be keenly felt by the enemy. The German garrison, it is believed, will make a stand east of the city before falling back on the Drocourt-Quoin line. The civil population evacuated Lens on Friday. Remember, he was like at Gallipoli for the evacuation. He was at Marne, for goodness sakes. Oh my gosh, he was all over the flipping place. Anyways, here, let's just shush. And he's going to be somewhere else later. Seized 3 months' rations stored in the evacuated town by the American Relief Commission. British aircraft did much damage on Friday and Saturday behind the German lines. Explosives were dropped on railway stations, ammunition depots, and aerodromes, and German infantry and convoys were successfully attacked with machine gun fire from the British airplanes. In the aerial engagements behind the enemy lines, 10 German machines were accounted for, while of the British air squadron, 12 machines are reported missing. It is significant that the British superiority in the air compels the enemy to fight over his own territory. Between April 14th, 12th to the 14th, the French brought down north and south of the Oise 25 German airplanes. Well, let's beg to differ with that. I mean, I understand what the person's trying to do, but remember, these are strategic differences. The Germans are doing it that way of not going past their lines, in a sense, for efficiency of resources, in a sense, and whatnot. The British are not doing that. And I think this is what the beginnings of the Albatross D3. Is that it? Well, we got Rick Coven zipping around with it and whatnot. I think it's the D3, and it's doing well. Bloody April. Anyways, it's supposed to get even worse. I think there's something in September of 1918, which I don't know much about, but I heard it's going to be even worse for the Allies. Well, they still win, but it's like holy moly. In the fighting on Saturday, the British troops surrounded Lens on 3 sides. On Saturday morning, the town of Ливан, southeast of Lens, and the village of Saint-Pierre, northwest of Lens, were captured. East of Vimy Ridge, the British pressed forward 2 to 3 miles along the whole front from the south of Luce to the Scarpe River east of Arras. At Liévin, considerable quantities, well, it's the same town that I pronounced differently above. Considerable quantities of war supplies were seized, and the British pressed eastward on Lens. 1,500 German dead lay in front of the British lines along the 6-mile front on the Bapaume-Cambrai road when the enemy yesterday morning withdrew after a succession of unsuccessful counterattacks. Penetrating the British fighting center at Lagnicourt, the enemy's triumph was short-lived. Rallying their forces, the British drove the enemy out of the village and captured 300 prisoners. Within a few hundred yards of Saint-Quentin, General Haig's men stormed and captured Gricourt with the bayonets and occupied Fayette. 400 prisoners were taken in this sector. The fighting was fierce, the enemy stubbornly contesting every yard of the advance. On the oh my gosh, finally something else. I'm not to be rude, but it's like, God, I was thinking, I'm like, is there any other part of the world going on? On the Belgian front, the fighting grows more lively. On Saturday, well, I guess because it's still, warming up, but whatever. On Saturday night, after heavy artillery preparation, Belgian troops penetrated to the enemy's second line of trenches of Dixmude and found them unoccupied. The guns are active along the whole Belgian front. A German diversion in Champagne may be expected, but judging by the intensity of the gunfire in that region. Heavy artillery engagements also took place on the Verdun front, accompanied by infantry attacks against the northeast angle of Corrières Wood. The guns also were busy in the vicinity of Rennes. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize at the very beginning, I finished the next paragraph, but at the beginning I thought it was on the Balkan front. We're getting all into it now, and then I was like, hell are Belgian troops doing there? But sort of not. But oh my God, weren't there Belgian something or other sent off to help the Russians though? In East, I'm sure there was. Oh gosh, we were talking about them a long time ago. Darn it! Remember they were like they got special whatevers to be able to do it. The French, because it was like, no, you're supposed to stay in Belgium. The French artillery made headway on the Saint-Quentin-Laon front, especially against the German organization in Gobain Forest and the upper forest of Couchy in front of Laon. We got to find out about that. Events in Russia are dealt with officially in a midnight dispatch from Petrograd. What was it? Cavalry, was it? Maybe. Something crazy like that. It was motorized cars or something. According to statements of an Austrian officer, the German chancellor sent German socialists to Stockholm to meet Russian socialists to negotiate a separate peace, meantime abstaining from the usual manifestations of joy over the recent success against the Russian lines on the Kovel front. Oh my God. And I'm shocked beyond belief. I just found out this week Lenin actually finally ends up in Russia. He, I think, was sent off by the Germans, like, what, 2 weeks ago or something? And I was like, well, you must be there by now. But I guess maybe it takes a long time to maybe covertly. I don't know how this all works. That would be interesting to find out how the hell he actually got there. Like, well, I'm sure there's a little, someone's got it written down. In Germany and in Austria, everybody's hoping that internal trouble in Russia will compel her to make a separate peace. The publication of this news by the new government at Petrograd shows that it is prepared to meet the intrigues of Germany. The Allied offensive on the Western Front will give Russia breathing time. Fighting on the Romanian and Carpathian fronts, which has been intermittent, broke out again on Saturday when some patrol engagements were fought. Oh yeah, this is the big monster loan. A $7 billion war revenue bill passed the House at Washington without a dissenting voice. $3 billion of this money will be loaned to the Allied countries by the United States. The president, it is expected, will sign the authorization next week. A mutinous spirit among the German soldiers is revealed for the first time among the captured prisoners, who entirely disregard their own officers and non-commissioned officers. Discipline among prisoners captured has hitherto been shown in the readiness with which the men have obeyed their own officers. This change is regarded at the front as highly significant. The German officers who are prisoners say that the collapse of the Arras defenses was due to the difficulty they experienced in handling their men. No definite reliance can be placed upon the suggestion that this spirit of revolt is widespread in the German ranks. The disciplinary methods of the German army are so brutal, however, that there can be very little love wasted between officers and men after 2 years fighting. I'll try to remember that in a little while when the French troops are getting executed after the mutinies. I'll try to remember that. On the Macedonian front, between the Vardar and Prespa Lake, heavy artillery fighting took place on Saturday and Sunday. The enemy made unsuccessful attacks against Zroba, west of Monastir, and in Albania, west of Koritsa, in the direction of Mushapol. 17 houses were destroyed in Monastir by the enemy's guns. Boy, I'm sorry, I'm pretty darn biased, aren't I? It's bad. I'm sorry. I try so hard not to, but it just keeps coming out. A smashing French victory and the capture of 10,000 prisoners marks the opening of a big French offensive on the Soissons-Rheims front, which threatens to roll up the southern flank of the new Hindenburg line. The fighting extends to western Champagne, where a violent bombardment is in progress. I would like to know, you know what? You know what would be kind of neat? If there's some way, but I don't know German, so I can't do it. But imagine switching around. I'd like to maybe switch around and let William Arends do this bit, and I'll do the German bit and see if I start becoming more pro-ally in the sense of like start feeling a bit more sympathetic. Oh, I'm terrible, man. Lens and Saint-Quentin, now within grasp of the Allies, continue to burn. The British improved their position north of the Saint-Quentin yesterday by occupying the Three Savages. Maybe I'll end up becoming neutral. East of Gricourt, doubtful. The entry of the British into Lens is held up by a deadly German barrage established on the line of the British advance by a battery of heavy guns. The enemy is holding on as long as he can in order to complete his defenses in the rear. A general offensive all along the line from the North Sea to the Swiss border seems to be impending. I'm going to put a pause so I can just blow my nose. All right, here we go. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. Between Soissons and Rheims, the French have begun a big offensive. Oh, this is the Nivelle offensive. Remember, April 16th. Began a big offensive after an intense bombardment of the enemy lines lasting 10 days. Oh my gosh. Okay, so hold on here. So that lasted 10 days. So it started on, let's say, the 6th or 7th of April. And the diversionary Arras battle was with Vimy Ridge or whatever was right on the 9th, or the 7th to the 12th? 7th to the 12th? 9th to the 12th? Oh my God. 9th to the 12th? 9th, whatever. Shush. Find out. French official report describes the fighting as most violent. Oh my God, I almost went into a little loop there, obsessive compulsion loop. The enemy fought with great determination, being heavily reinforced and supported by numerous guns. Between Soissons and Crayon, north of the Ain, the whole of the German first position was stormed and carried. east of Craon, the French carried the enemy's second trenches south of Juivecourt. Farther south, the French pushed their line to the outskirts of Beremircourt and up to the Ain Canal at Loivre and, my God, am I butchering names? Courcy. The enemy launched heavy counterattacks north of Villebois, but was driven back. What did Neville say? We just got to remember this. The thing doesn't work if we're not able to pierce the lines and start getting into open warfare or whatever. In 48 hours, I'll call the bloody thing off. We'll see what happens. German confirmation of the French offensive comes in an official dispatch from Berlin, which says that a bitter fight is raging along a 25-mile front. Oh, I guess we won't have to wait long for the mutinies, will we? The Berlin report significantly alludes to the battle as a great French attempt to break through with a far distant object. The supreme military test of the war is at hand, according to the Associated Press correspondent at the British headquarters. He cables that the battle now raging along the entire front is the outcome of prolonged conferences between Neville and Haig and the war councils of Britain and France. They must be remember, they think this is going to happen. This is going to work. This is going to work. It worked at Verdun on a small scale. It's going to work on a big scale. Oh yeah, they're thinking. They are. They're putting whatever. Shush. The artillery was active on the Belgian and Champagne fronts in the west. I knew I was going to get off in this silly land. On the Serbian front in Macedonia, west of Cerna. General Maud is harrying the Turks in Mesopotamia. Over 300 Turkish dead were counted on the battlefield on April 11th alone. The 13th Turkish Army Corps, which has been in retreat, has lost heavily. The great heat makes the pursuit difficult. The enemy is now on the Jebel Hamran hills between the Tigris and the Diyala, having been driven from their positions near Gallia. Great discontent among German workmen has followed another reduction in the bread ration. Strike threats are made, but as an alternative, the workers propose to reduce their hours of labor by 1/4. Strong pressure is being brought to bear on the workers to restrain from opposition to the new rations regulations. An Amsterdam dispatch says that strikes among the metal, wood, and transport industries have been declared in Berlin. Another significant sign is the rise of an independent organization of social democrats pledged to oppose the present government system in Germany, its war policy, and the pro-government policy of the old Socialist Party. Oh yeah, remember that little split there with Leibniz or something? The total German prisoners captured in the recent British advance is 14,000. The guns taken from the enemy number 194. A reprisal bombardment of Freiburg in Germany was carried out on Saturday by a large combined squadron of British and French aircraft. Many bombs were dropped on the town with satisfactory results. This bombardment was decided on as a result of the German submarine attacks on British hospital ships, the tit-for-tat. The Allied airmen fought a number of engagements with German airmen, but all the machines returned safely after accomplishing their task. Remember, we also heard about that, the tit-for-tat ratcheting up with prisoners of war. You did that to our guys, we'll do this to your guys. And on and on and on. The opposite of live and let live, isn't it? The town named is evidently Freiburg in Imbrigau in the Grand Duchy of Baden, 12 miles east of the Rhine. It is a population of 75,000 inhabitants and possesses a famous library, as well as one of the finest of all the Gothic churches in Germany, dating back from the 12th century. Reprisals have been urged in Britain. The only influence that tells on the German mind is force. When the German people find that their towns are no longer, my God, this is like kind of like a foreshadowing of the big aerial bombardments for World War II, no? When the German people find that their towns are no longer immune against aerial attack, they may be less enthusiastic over the drowning of women and children and the sinking of hospital ships with wounded men aboard. Holy F, this is such a cool paragraph. Jeez, do I ever like that one. Anyways, the French are delivering so much in there. I'm like I said, I'm thinking about, oh my. The French are delivering smashing blows at the enemy's position from Soissons to the Champagne. Oh my God, didn't even mention their famous library. And then we think about later on, I don't know what city it was. You guys know. The bombing of the archives, the German archives, and a lot of stuff from the Great War got wiped out. Not all of it, but huge chunks from what I remember. Where's that place? You guys know about it. It was part of the American and British firebombing thingamajig, wasn't it? Anyways, unofficial estimates place the German casualties at 100,000 for the 2 days fighting. 13,000 prisoners have been taken by Neville's forces. The British advance was slowed down by the weather, but progress was made east and northwest of Lens and between Cambrai and Saint-Quentin. The calm before the storm is how Philip Gibbs describes the apparent slowing down of the British offensive. The taking of Lens is not worrying Haig. The town could be taken at any time by paying a price. Well, no shit. But according to Gibbs, there's bigger game in sight. The enemy's switch lines are peculiarly vulnerable to attack, and to smash these before Hindenburg has time to strengthen them seems to be the aim of Sir Douglas Haig. The big French offensive is in full blast between Soissons and Rennes and is extended into the Champagne region. Advancing in snow and rain, the French troops proved irresistible. The enemy massed guns and machine guns to hold up the advance, but in vain. Fighting on this front is around fortified positions in which machine guns play a big part. The French avoid frontal attacks on these fortified zones, pushing forward their wings in an encircling movement that isolates the German garrisons in these underground fortified positions. Big German losses are reported by prisoners. Some of the companies in the fighting on Monday were reduced from 250 to just 80 men. Some of these prisoners expressed the opinion that but for the vigilance of German officers, there would be heavy desertions from the German firing line. The number of prisoners captured by the French in the present big battle is over 13,000, which is continually increasing. The fighting extended east of Rennes, where the first German positions were stormed and carried south of Montvilliers along a front of over 9 miles. To the east and southeast of Montvilliers, I think, the French carried a strongly defended line of heights on a front of nearly 8 miles. Aubervilliers village on the river Suippe was taken. A fierce counterattack in the vicinity of Montcarniot, southeast of Montvilliers, was beaten off by the French guns and more than 2,500 prisoners taken. Between Soissons, Rennes, and near Courcy, German counterattacks also failed. Russian troops took part in the fighting at Courcy, north of Rennes. Did you hear that? Russian troops took part in the fighting at Courcy, north of Rennes. And their country has had a revolution, and they're in there. That's unbelievable. Wow, that must be such a weird, what in the world do we do? Near Havre-Court Wood, the British advanced to Gouzour-Court on the Perron-Cambrai road. West-northwest of Lens, pressure on the enemy's lines is continuous. How in the world that is inch. I'm sorry. I'm like, whoa. I'm just, Russian troops took part in the fighting at Courcy, north of Rennes. And the freaking Russian Revolution. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm just like, what is going on in many of their minds? Like, why am I dying here? Holy moly. The enemy, well, you're still at war, but it's just like, whoa. I'd just be like, what? Anyways, I'm just, see, again, it's happening again. The enemy counterattacked without success. The enemy is very unfavorable for aerial work, but the British machines kept aloft and maintained their supremacy. In the fighting yesterday, 3 enemy machines were driven down and 5 British airplanes were reported missing. So yet again, you're still not getting the right ratio there as far as I can see. I'm just saying. It's 2 days in a row, guys. The large number of casualties among the British air squadrons is due to the fact that their work is carried out over enemy territory. Well, then, oh no, you're doing the same. Just between Saint-Quentin and Cambrai, the British captured, like you have no one else to blame then, Le Tombois farm near Épinay and pushed along the high ground northeast of the railway station at Épinay. I'm not saying you're complaining, but I'm just like, don't blame the Germans. 3 million men are now engaged in what Hindenburg declares is the greatest battle in the history. Whoa. 3 million men are now engaged in what Hindenburg declares is the greatest battle in the history of the world. The real object of the Allies is not to push back, but to slaughter the enemy. The destruction of the opposing army, not territorial gains, is the grand objective. Mr. Bonar-Law in the British House stated that the successes on the Western Front exceeded all expectations. Open fighting, oh goody, there's that term, gives the Allies freedom of maneuver. Oh, the second one, wicked. Allies freedom of maneuver once more, but the enemy still clings to underground forts. German official reports of the fighting are written with an eye to the effects upon the German people. Really? And what do you guys do? It is admitted, however, that the battle now raging in the greatest of this gigantic is the greatest of this gigantic war. The headquarters staff derives comfort from the fact that the French attempt to break through failed and that Neville's troops suffered heavy losses. Okay, run this one by me again. Are we getting into this? The headquarters staff derives comfort from the fact that the French attempt to break through failed and that Neville's troops suffered heavy losses. Hard fighting is in progress in the Champagne region on both sides of the Uberville. Reuters correspondent at the French headquarters rebuts a German report in which the enemy claimed to have captured 22 British guns at Langricourt. Having gained a temporary foothold in the village, the Germans attempted to disable the British guns, which had been abandoned. But the counterattack came so quickly that only 4 18-pounders and 1 light howitzer were destroyed. The British artillerymen turned the remaining guns on the retreating foe, mowing them down as they fell back upon their wire defenses. The German government wants peace, says the Frankfurter Zeitung. There's nothing new in this, but that the imperial government desires internal reforms shows the pressure to which it is subjected, owing to the prominence given by the Allies to the issues at stake between the Prussian autocracy and the democracies of the world. The Zeitung, which evidently is inspired, insists that the attempts of the Allies to make the democratization of the German constitution the price of attaining peace will be rejected as an unwarrantable interference in Germany's domestic affairs. The question is raised in this form and at this time is significant of the changed conditions that already exist in Germany. There would be no talk of reforms were the people of Germany quiescent. The life of the British Parliament has been extended until November. At that time, the summer campaign will have ended. Should the war not be finished this summer, a general election would have a less disturbing effect in the winter months, when fighting would be reduced to a minimum. Interesting about the thing. Remember, we're potentially last week they were saying about why didn't the French and the British wait for the Americans to show up? Why did they go with this Nouvelle offensive and so on and so forth? Supposedly there was a big push for it, and the French government, I'm just saying it's one of the reasons potentially, they were worried about it, the French government falling, so they went with it. How does that play when the Nouvelle offensive is going to fall and you get the French mutinies kicking in? They must have been quaking. I'd be interested to see if the French government does fall again. I don't know. Between Juvilliers and the Aisne, east of the Crayon Plateau, the Germans launched a force of 40,000 men against the French positions. But the artillery barrage and machine guns inflicted heavy losses on the attacking forces and broke down the enemy's offensive. It was a day of continued success for the French. There was a temporary lull in the fighting on the British front. The Hindenburg Line has a big bulge back from WWII, where the French have driven the wedge as far as Courtesson. The German lines have been pierced to a depth of nearly 4 miles. According to the French report, the morale of the enemy has weakened considerably. North of the Aisne, the French forced the attack to Chivy, east of the Oise-Aisne Canal, and continued the advance to Braille-en-Loire, which was, oh my God, that was brutal, was occupied by French patrols. Farther west, they also occupied the village of Chevon and Onion. Southeast of Crayon, the Germans were driven out of their fortified positions near La Ville aux Bois, midway on the highway between Lyon and Rheims. The British gained ground on the left bank of the Scarpe, east of Fampoux, on the Arras-Douai Railway. Southeast of Luce, another slice of the enemy's front lines were stormed and captured. British aerial raiders bombarded an enemy train, 2 columns of German troops on the march, and enemy transport services, doing considerable damage. New batteries of German guns to replace those captured in the recent fighting had been massed around Lens and Luce to retard the British advance. The enemy's guns are now shelling the positions captured by the British at Ливан, Angers, Bois de Réaumont, and the suburbs of Lens, in which the British have gained a footing. Moncey-le-Preux also is under the fire of German guns and machine guns, to which the British keep up a brisk reply. Hold on, I'm going to hit pause and have a little sip. And the last page. Philip Gibbs, in a dispatch from headquarters, says the German losses are twice as heavy as the British. The Germans now go to great trouble in removing their dead where at all possible. 17,000 unwounded German prisoners and 75 guns have been taken by the French since the beginning of the big offensive. The Germans are counterattacking with great force and persistence, but always unsuccessfully, and with terrible losses in killed and wounded. At Gauchy, south of Saint-Quentin, for example, the enemy counterattacked in great force. The French had been stopped by the French guns. A second assault was launched. Groups of the enemy succeeded in getting inside the French lines, but all were killed or captured. Among the towns captured by the territory as far as the outskirts of Courtisson, north of the Braille-en-Loire, the enemy fell back in disorder, leaving 200 prisoners and much war material in the hands of the French. In other sectors, the French were equally successful, an important enemy unit laying down its arms at La Ville-aux-Bois. No separate peace for Russia is the assurance that has reached Washington from the provisional government at Petrograd. Unfortunately for you guys, there's another player in that. There ain't them. Under no conditions, says the new Russian government, will overtures from Austro-German socialists be considered. The Russian, oh my gosh, we're right here, man. The Russian premier, who has just returned to Petrograd after a visit to the front, says the supplies for food for the troops are now satisfactory. In an appeal for public subscriptions to a Liberty Loan, which will open today, the new Russian government warns the people that a powerful enemy is on Russian soil, and the expenditure of billions is required to save Russia from a return of the old regime and to accomplish the organization of a free Russia upon the foundations of equality and right. It's ironic, well, for me anyways, I was like, when they said the Russian government warns the people that powerful enemy is on Russian soil, I was assuming they were talking about the Soviets. Anyways, the weak spot, I don't know if that's what they're called yet. The weak spot in the new Russian, someone Meandering Mike will know if he's around. The weak spot in the new Russian regime is that the peasants are suspicious of the intellectuals who brought about the downfall of the Romanov dynasty. The demand is for a peasant and labor government which shall voice the masses of the people. The arrival in Russia of French and British socialists and labormen representing the respective governments is a tactful step and may do much to strengthen the hold of the provisional government at Petrograd on the confidence of the peasant army at the front and the peasant people at home. In the Trent, oh my God, finally, In the well, I just haven't heard from these. Well, I understand it's springtime still. In the Trentino region on the Italian front, the bombardment grew more intense yesterday between the Adagi River and the Brenta. The Italian guns destroyed. Mind you, they've been freaking fighting in the wintertime anyways, for goodness sake, so shush. The Italian guns destroyed enemy shelters on the Sugana slopes, bombarded the railway station at Rovereto and the Adagi River, and shelled Austrian troop trains along the Sugana Valley. Enemy attacks in the Italian positions on the slopes of Colbricon were beaten off. The guns were active in the Julian Alps and Gorizia regions. The place we haven't heard from much right now, as far as I'm concerned, is in East Africa. I think maybe it's the rainy season. The Germans have burned Braia and Focșani in northern Romania, according to advices received at Petrograd from Iasi, the seat of the Romanian government. The burning of these towns is regarded in Romanian military circles as an indication that the Germans may be withdrawing from this front. The need for troops in the eastern arena is insistent, and it is not unreasonable to suppose that reinforcements would be drawn from the Romanian border. Braia and Focșani are railway centers. Braia is on the Danube to the south of Galicia. Focșani is midway on the Bucharest-Iasi Railroad. Britain's war, here we go. Britain's war menu is restricted still further by the order of the food controller, prohibiting the sale of light pastries, muffins, crumpets, and tea cakes. Oh, the horror. Eatables now sold in tea shops must conform to the regulations as to proportions of wheaten flour and sugar used. Douai, Cambrai, and Saint-Quentin are open towns. There's probably not much of them, though. Léon, La Fère, and Rennes form a triangle of strong fortresses. Douai lies on a marshy plain on the banks of the Scarpe and is the center of the coal region. Iron foundries and engineering shops flourished here before the war, and the town also boasted of a large cannon foundry and arsenal. All these have proved of great service to the enemy during the past 2 years, and it is certain that Germans are not voluntarily relinquishing their hold on these valuable military assets. Léon is a great natural fortress, topping the ridge that rises above the river Arden to a height of more than 300 feet. It dates back to the days of the Romans and was held by Blücher against Napoleon in the campaign of 1814. It commands a view of Saint-Quentin and the forest of Saint-Gobain. That's kind of neat. I just due to the fact that Charles Latora just put on the OSG game playthrough for the Battle of Quatre-Bras, I do believe, and I do believe Meandering Mike was giving him some advice on that. Well, Mr. Napoleonics for sure. There you go. North of Lens and Douai, the Black Country of France opens out. The collieries and belching smoke from numerous chimneys in days of peace reminded the traveler of the Black Country in England or Pennsylvania. The region is known technically by military men as the Artois sector. Here within the circle of hills are Mont Saint-Éloi, Neuville-Saint-Vaast, the Labyrinth, remember that place, the Clarency, Souchet, Ablain, Saint-Nazaire, and Notre-Dame de Lorette, places made memorable by the fighting around Arras. The great Marlborough fought over these battlefields, and as far back as Agincourt, the name of Arras is identified with British military history. In the spring of 1710, Marlborough captured Douai, on which Canadian and British troops are now advancing as the allies of the descendants of the men who fought Marlborough. Again and again in this war, the Germans have tried to drive a wedge through the Artois sector in the hope of cutting off the British forces from the French and driving them back to the coast. Holy moly, I guarantee you this was a long one. Anyways, I hope that went well, and good remainder of your weekend. Great weekend. I hope to see you for 117. All right, see you later.